Welcome to the Traditional Way podcast brought to you by the Martial Arts Center Network. I'm your host, Brett Shumway. Continue to support the network on all of our social media pages and like, comment on, and share each episode of our podcasts. We are also brought to you by the K-Talk Championships in New York City on November 24th of this year. Come support the biggest tournament in the city and get a chance to mingle and compete against some of the top open circuit competitors that will be in attendance, as well as some of the legends of our sport that will also be there. This is always a great event, and we look forward to another huge turnout this year. On this episode, we are going to cover the Youth World Championships that just took place October 9th through 13th in Jesolo, Venice. This is a big one for the youth athletes, as for many, this is the last chance they're going to have to win a world title in their current age division. With the championships only being held every 2 years, the age categories being set up basically every 2 years, most of them will not get another shot, and whether there be a cadet or a junior, this is it, right? So this year also was a huge event, right? 2,000 competitors from 113 nations were all there. This is the creme de la creme of traditional sport karate titles. Because unlike other circuits that offer titles, the selection process to be able to go to this tournament is stiff. With just about all of the competitors being their respective nation's national title winner. Also, age changes and athletes changing in new divisions. Current number ones had some new competition, and many of them were knocked out early, and especially in the elimination rounds. There were many newly crowned world championships that no one also saw coming. So with that teaser, let's start breaking down the results of what happened in Jesolo. Starting in the minus 47 kilogram division, relative newcomer Rinri Oda would take home the world title, defeating Jana Vincic in the final match 3-2. This is only Oda's second WKF ranked event, as she improved from her bronze medal at the Asian Continental Championships earlier this year. After moving up in weight classes this year, Maria Hines finds the biggest win of her young career. She takes the final of the minus 54 kilogram division with a score of 4-1 over Poland's Victoria Krazak. In the minus 61 kilogram division, Graziella Ichili wins her last attempt as a cadet, as she will move up into the juniors immediately following this event, as she just made the age cutoff for Venice. She would defeat the world number 1 Nuran El Morsi 5-1 in the final match. Mariam Bashara absolutely dominated the over 61 kilogram division with a combined score of 22-6 in all of her matches. She was in control of the whole division, bringing her amazing 2024 year to an end, where she medaled in every event she attended and only didn't take gold once. It is fitting that she rode that success into Venice and captured the world title. In the minus 52 kilogram division, Maxim Vyechkinov would defeat top seed in the division Abdurrahman Arafat 3-1 in the final match to secure the title, which is more impressive considering that he got off to a very slow start and barely made it out of his first match, winning that by Senshu. Kabu Yagura improves on his bronze from the Asian Continental Championships as he takes home his title in his second WKF ranked event, defeating the world number 2 Hadi Malarasis in the final matchup of the minus 57 kilogram division 5-1. The minus 63 kilogram division saw Muaz Mustafa take home the title, as he would top the world number 1 to get out of the elimination round. He then cruised into the final, where he would defeat Guatemala's Jorge Ortiz 3-2. Now there's dominating performances, and then there's what Almerica Tomasino's performance in the minus 70 kilogram division. Overall, he outscored his opponents 32-4, but all points scored against him were in one fight that he won 7-4. He walks into the final, where he would win that matchup by the 8-point spread and easily take home the world title. Arashi Chiba would take an exciting matchup in the final of the over 70 kilogram division, where he would beat Amro Albergari 7-5 to win the title, which was the story of all of his fights. Chiba's wins were all pretty much high-scoring fights on both sides. In fact, the lower-scoring fight, he still scored 5 points. In the female kata division, Wakana Ito remains perfect within her WKF career. With only competing in continental championships and this event, she is also only known the top of the podium. Her Shitaru katas would dominate this event, and she would not score below 40 points on any one of her katas. The closest anyone came to beating her was losing by 1.7 points. Another Shitaru stylist who would win the male kata division was Takuro Hamazawa, and he would take the division, winning the final matchup by 1.1 points. And like Ito, he remains perfect on his events within the WKF rankings. And as expected within the cadet age categories, every winner was a first-time world champion. In the minus 48 kilogram division, world number 2 Ludovica Legittimo would defeat world number 1 Agnes Nyman in the final 1-0 to secure her first world title. Crazy enough, Legittimo would only give up 1 point scored against her through her this entire division. Juria Natori remains perfect as a junior, winning her third gold in as many events and securing her first world title, as she would defeat Alexandra Wolf in the final matchup of the minus 53 kilogram division with a score of 3-2. In the minus 59 kilogram division, Monica Arzumian was perfect through the elimination rounds without giving up a single point. Her toughest match was in the final 4, where she won 5-4 and then would win the final matchup 6-2 to secure her first world title. In the minus 66 kilogram division, Mariam Tantawi would win her first world title in what can only be described as a lackluster final, as she would be awarded a decision in a 0-0 tie in the final matchup. And this was after narrowly squeaking out a win in the semifinals by Senshu. The world number 1, Sara Tomic, continues her dominance in the over 66 kilogram division as she secures her second world title and brings her current medal streak to 5 events, with 4 of them being gold. She would win the final matchup by a score of 2-1. Well, if you're hoping to win your first ever WKF gold medal, why not make it at the World Championships? And that's exactly what Hani Rashid did in the minus 55 kilogram division. He only gave up 1 point against him across all of his matches, as he would have the tournament of his life to top the division. In the minus 61 kilogram division, Emmanuel Califano wins his first world title by handily defeating Saeed Al Saif in the final matchup by the 8-point spread. He also defeated the former world number 1 en route to his final and really picked it up in the semifinals, winning 7-1 and 8-0. Muhammad Ashraf Muhammad secured his second world title, where he got better as the division went on. From barely winning his first fight in the minus 68 kilogram division by Senshu, each round won by a larger margin than the last, winning the final matchup 11-1. The minus 76 kilogram division saw world number 1 Alikan Kadragali secure his second world title, as he would cruise in the final matchup with only one fight that would be close. His last fight out of the elimination round pushed him, and he escaped that by a 1-point victory. But that would be it, as he won the final matchup 3-0. A lot of close fights en route to the final match for this year's over 76 kilogram winner, Abdullah Al-Qahtani, who would take the final matchup 2-1 over Italian Federico Supino. In fact, other than his first fight, every match he would have would be decided by 1 point or the Senshu advantage. In the female kata division, Azusa Takada wins her second world title, as the Shotokan katas she performed were enough to propel her to the victory, as the toughest match that she would have would be an elimination round, where American Raiki Rayoni would come within 0.8 points of beating her. She won every other match by 1 full point or more. The Shitaru stylings of Shoshi Okamura was more than enough than anyone could handle in the kata division, as he would remain perfect in his WKF career, securing his first world title. The toughest match he had was in the semifinals, where he won by a half point. He would dominate the final matchup, winning by 2.2 points. In the combined cadet junior team kata division, it was Japan that won both divisions. The female division saw a victory over Spain in the final, and the male division saw Japan defeat Portugal. Some surprises in the minus 50 kilogram division, as Mizuki Ishihara would defeat the world number 1 Emma Scardelli in the final matchup 5-2 en route to her first world title. Additionally, some Premier League gold medalists and top-ranked veteran fighters did not make it out of the elimination round. Fatima Zahra Saeedabadi would win the minus 55 kilogram division, as her medal streak of 6 events is still going strong, crowning it off with her first world title. Her closest matchup would come in the final, where she would defeat Mentala Al-Hawari 2-0. The minus 61 kilogram division saw Rama Tolba win her first world title, where her toughest matchup came in the semifinals, where she would defeat the world number 1 Emina Sipovic by Senshu to move onto the final and win that matchup 1-0. Talia Sambre would repeat as the world champion in the minus 68 kilogram division, as she would have some tough fights to make it out of the elimination round. She would edge out her last 2 fights of that round 2-1, moving on to the final, where she'd win that match 4-1. In the over 68 kilogram division, Sofia Benarski would shock everyone, as she defeated the world number 1 to come out of the elimination round. She would then move on to the final, where she would win that matchup 7-3 and claim her first world title. The minus 60 kilogram division saw Nuri Kiliak win his first world title, as he beat the world number 1 American Jenko Dorta in the semifinal round 5-2. He would then move on to the final matchup, where he won a close match 2-1. Adel Omar would secure his first world title in the minus 67 kilogram division, as he would squeak out a win in the final matchup over Akhmedov by Senshu. In fact, he had a lot of tight matches on his way to victory, where he would win 4 out of the 6 matches by 1 point or the Senshu advantage. The minus 75 kilogram division saw Omar Ur secure his second world title with a combined score of 25-4 during his matches in this division. He'd win the final matchup over Egypt's Youssef Farak 3-1. Omar Osman would surprise everyone as he defeated Mohammed Al-Jafari in the minus 84 kilogram final by Senshu to claim his first world title. Al-Jafari, the world number 2 ranked athlete in the veterans division, was a heavy favorite to win this division, but Omar had different plans. And in the over 84 kilogram division, Matteo Avazzini would win his first world title, as he would have a tough fight in the semifinals, knocking out the world number 1 by a score of 3-2. He would then win the final matchup by a score of 2-0. The Shotokan katas of Kotomi Sato were more than enough for anyone in the division. She would cruise through the early rounds, winning every matchup by 1 full point. It wasn't until the final where she would see her toughest match, in which she still won by a half point to secure her first world title. Now, Anthony View would ensure that Japan did not sweep the kata divisions at this event, as his Shidori katas were too much for anyone in the division, winning every matchup by 0.8 points or more on his way to securing his first world title. One of the biggest takeaways for me and something that caught my attention during these World Championships was the dominance of some unknown Japanese competitors. One thing that is different about the Japanese competitors is that most of them do not compete on the Youth League. So they came into Venice with only doing their Continental Championships and then this event. For the other athletes that have to face them, that's a pretty big burden. So not knowing who you're competing against and which kata to run against them, it is a lot to make up when you're competing against an unknown. One thing is for sure, they were a force to be reckoned with in the kata divisions, only not winning gold in one of them. Additionally, although the North American presence was there in force, unfortunately they did not see the results they had hoped for. The U.S. team was able to manage 2 bronze medals during this competition. The combined cadet and junior male team kata was able to secure a bronze, as well as Jenko Dorta being able to secure a bronze in the U21 minus 67 kilogram division. Additionally, Mexican Valeria Martinez won a bronze in the cadet over 61 kilogram division, and unfortunately Canada did not take home any medals. Although the results weren't as hoped, there are some signs of growth, and a couple of these athletes found the medal rounds, as American Isabella Sanchez, Mexican Daniel Romero, and Canadian Matthew Garisha all saw medal rounds at this event, letting the world know that they are right there and they are ones to watch out for at future events. With that, I want to thank you guys for joining me for another episode of the Traditional Way Podcast. It's brought to you by the Martial Arts Internet Network and K-Talk Nationals. Join me on the next episode as I break down part 2 of the Youth World Championships. Until next time, guys.